everybody, this is Margaret and welcome to the Boboleros podcast, where you will find knitting content, influence from the world of the arts, classical music, literature, and general drippings of the brain pan, which in this case, in this episode, this week will include a talk about my latest design based on a 1960s dress, because you might know I am obsessed with 1960s design, and also drippings about the golden ratio and how it pertains to nature and art and music and knitting and just everyday things that we do on this podcast, like our giveaway drawing and Stashquisition segment and good things. So let's just jump right into it. So first things first, Boboleros is a fairly new podcast, and it would help me so much to grow the channel if you were to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed before, I'd so appreciate it. And additionally, if you have subscribed and would like to follow me on Instagram at Boboleros, I do try to include content that will hopefully inspire you in terms of styling videos and knits and broadcasts that I do from around town when I interview people, especially from my local yarn store pertaining to the New Jersey Wool Walk. Another thing on Instagram that I do every Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time is go on Instagram Live. Just talk about random things. The week previous, we did a pom-pom tutorial talking about, stash and what we're knitting. And there usually is a Boboleros kit that is a featured kit on sale. And so the last one featured has been this Perfect Love Sunday shawl kit. And that is 10% off in the shop right now. So it's just two really fun colors, bubblegum with crimson, and together they make just a yummy Sunday shawl. And even though it is mid-April, and it does happen to be about 80 something degrees right now in New Jersey, I am still kind of knitting Sunday shrugs, and yes, knitting them in wool. And that leads me to my question. I'm going to put this in the chat, and I would love your comments on this. Yay or nay, do you guys like to knit in the hot summer months? Do you knit in wool, or do you transition to like cotton or linen, or more, for a warmer weather kind of garment? So I'm just curious about that. Would like to see where people stand on it. Last year, I did buy quite a bit of like linen, bamboo kind of yarn, and it was actually the beginning of summer, and I was all gung-ho on making like summer tops and stuff. I didn't actually finish in time for the summer. The summer was now dwindling, and I was like, oh, I don't really feel like continuing with this, so I'll just transition back to my wool. So I wonder, how do you guys stand on the topic? Or is it like fair game? You'll knit in wool, you'll knit in linen, cotton, whatever, just kind of floats your boat at the time. So I'm so curious about that. So let me know in the chat below. Let's just now draw our giveaway winner, and this is for this fabulous bag, and this is a Tannei Casey bag. Tannei was so generous to donate 2 of these bags to our viewers, and so we drew a winner for the big butterfly bag in the last segment. And so today we'll be drawing a winner for this wonderful farm owl series. Well, this is like a farm animal series that Tannei has made. And so this is for a smaller project, but it could certainly, I would say, carry enough yarn for maybe not a sweater, but like a shawl, socks. And it's just so beautifully made, as all of Tannei's bags are. If you haven't ever seen or checked out Tannei's bags. I will link her web shop down below. Truly one of a kind, truly beautifully handmade. So let's draw a winner, and for that I need to get my basket. Hold on. I'm back. Okay, my basket was just under the table, and here we go. We are drawing a prize, and I always just put the names of the people that leave comments, and that automatically makes you eligible to win. And today's winner is Trisha Dikshinsky. Yay, Trisha! Congratulations. Please get in touch with me, and the email is below, or you can DM me on Instagram and just let me know your address, and I'll get that right out to you. Okay, fantastic. Let's start with today's theme. It's a dripping from the brain pan, but I think it's something that we all sort of relate to, and it pertains to something known as the golden mean, the golden section. First, I'll preface this with a story. So the other day, it was just like this week in New Jersey has been just stunning weather. It's been really like warm, and it like to the point that it got really hot and summer-like. But the other day I decided to take a break in the afternoon and go for a hike. And just a lovely hiking trail near my house. I took our schnauzer, Coco, on this walk. And so we went and we're just like, you know, on the hiking trail. And for some reason, like Coco wanted to veer off. And so I said, okay, let's leave this trail. And I think that's like the main point is I said to myself, Margaret, I'm going to leave the main trail. Margaret, do that. Leave the main trail just for a moment and you might discover something new. And lo and behold, I am like walking on this, you know, just area of leaves and twigs and stuff like that. And what do I stumble upon? And it was just like hard to see because it was way off the beaten path, but there was a little sprig, like an area where suddenly I saw some fiddlehead ferns. And here's a picture. They are so incredible. They look like the scroll at the end of a violin. Of course, I couldn't help but like think, wow, that looks like the spiral of a nautilus shell or a spiral of the galaxy. And this is something that I have often thought about in regards to classical music, is the golden mean. And, you know, the great artists of the past were very, very interested in this principle. And like Da Vinci and people, not only like in terms of architecture, like the Cathedral of Notre Dame, they used the golden mean to use as a structure to contain the art. And even in music, Bach was one of the people, Mozart, Beethoven, etc. They also used the golden means, the golden section, the golden number, however you want to call it, as a lattice work, as a structure for their great pieces of music. And so it just got me thinking about how when we veer off the main path, we might discover some real treasures or something that gets us to think in a different way. And so when I was like kind of diving into this years ago, I did a book about Bach. I wrote a book about Bach, and one of the topics that really fascinated me was the divine structure of his music, because there are no bad pieces by Bach. It's just all perfect. And what was part of the fascination for me was Bach's use of numbers and how he inserted this design into each of his pieces of music. So that being said, on that note, there's so much more to be said, but I'll just leave it there for now and insert this piece of music by Bach. It is his Prelude and Fugue in C minor, and how it relates to this sighting of the fiddlehead fern is, hey, sometimes the road not taken is the better road, and it'll lead us to wondrous discoveries. So I hope you enjoy this. I love this quote about the golden mean by Robert Lawler, and it says, "The golden ratio is a reminder of the relatedness of the created world to the perfection of its source and of its potential future evolution." There is something even about listening to Bach that makes us feel so much comfort. It relaxes me many times. It harmonizes the two sides of the brain. It harmonizes our nervous system. Especially, there's something about Bach's music that even whales, if they hear it in the middle of the ocean, they will swim for like hundreds of miles and form a group together like a pod, and they will listen to this music together, and they only do it for Bach. And this I heard from a naturalist. So I was like in Alaska at the time, and there was this like fabulous naturalist that was giving a talk, and we started, the two of us, talking about music and the relationship of music and animals, and he told me like fascinating things, especially about whales and their sensitivity to sound and their preference for the music of Bach. So, and if you want to know which piece the whales swam so far to hear, it was one of Bach's Brandenburg concertos. So if you want to bring a little harmonization on those days where you feel frazzled, just put on a little Bach, maybe one of his Brandenburg concertos, and see what happens. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so I don't have a finished object to share. What I do have on my mannequin is an example of what I believe to be in knitting, like a wonderful piece that exemplifies those wonderful golden ratios or those divine proportions that we can think about when we knit. And this is a topic that has been on my mind because I'm designing a pattern for the New Jersey Wool Walk, and that will premiere on Saturday, which is April 29th at Wool & Grace, which is a store in Summit, New Jersey. It's a beautiful store. They have such a fine selection of yarn from some of the brands that we all know so well, like Loopy Mango and Hedgehog Fibers, Madeline Tosh, and so on and so forth. And then also some nice independent yarn dyers as well are represented. So they have such a nice showcase. I was just there the other day. I was fawning all over Emma's yarns, just absolutely beautiful. Earth yarns and more. And I'm also sharing a lot of these like little things that I've found in the store on my Instagram stories. So if you're curious, just check that out. I was just showcasing a yarn dyer who dyes with only organic substances like beetles or like something from like the shell of an animal like insects, bark of trees, flowers. And you know what, speaking on the subject, and like the most vibrant, beautiful, intense colors. And on this subject, you see these lilies in the back here? I wonder if anybody has ever and maybe I will try this, if someone has ever used the stamen of lilies to pigment and dye yarn, because I'll tell you something, my hands are still yellow from just trimming and cutting and like putting them in a new fresh batch of water because it just stained everything. Did this ever happen to you? I was now like looking online, like how do you get this out of clothing? My husband is like, why is my shirt yellow? And I'm like, He's like, is it the yarn dye? I'm like, I don't think so. I think it's from the lilies. I think he brushed against some of the lily stamen. I've now learned that one should cut them off. I didn't know that before, but it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. In any case, so some people dye with like the most phenomenal of ingredients. So that being said, New Jersey Wool Walk, April 29th, I will be at Wool & Grace at 2 o'clock, and I am bringing a new design. So let me show you what I've been up to. And this is why I don't have a finished object, is because this has really been racking my brain. So my design inspiration comes from a pattern that I started early on in my knitting journey, and it was a duplicate of a 1962 knit dress, and I'll insert the picture here. And I loved it. When I first saw it, I just fell in love with it because the mod, design and the geometrical pattern of that knit work, and I just love the shape of that dress, and just like, ooh, it was fantastic. So I started this, and this was, wow, this is before I learned how to do circular needles. Look at how far I got. And I remember I started this and it just like, you know, I absolutely loved the fabric that was created from this. And then I got to a certain point, and then I got pregnant, and then I knew there's no way I'm gonna be wearing a knit tube dress for any time soon. So I kind of let it linger. Look at that nice edging. I mean, it just was such a fantastic pattern. I got pretty far in it. I think there's another piece somewhere in this bag. I can't tell you how old this is. This is from 1997. Yeah, I'm sure some of you were not even born then when I was knitting this piece. Okay, so that was my design inspo, and I said, how can I turn this into a pattern that, I don't know, I would like want to transform into a different kind of garment. So I got some yarn from Wool and Grace in their Loopy Mango, and they have like wonderful, wonderful shades of Loopy Mango. I started playing around. So let me first show you the two colors I got. So I got this yellow in the Dream yarn, and that Dream yarn is a worsted. And I also got, so this is Sunshine, and this, I believe it's called Bubblegum. Bubblegum, yeah. Sunshine and Bubblegum. And I thought these two just are so fun together. And I started playing around with the two, just experimenting, seeing, maybe adding a little gray. This turned out to be just nothing really. It just was me playing, which is the way that I like to create things, is, you know, just play around and see what the yarn tells me to do, see what the stitch, like where that brings me. And I like to do different things. Like if I paint, that's kind of like I'll have an idea, but it's not until like you take the first brush stroke and then it becomes a puzzle to solve. Like the minute you put the first brush stroke down, it becomes this ultimate puzzle. Like, okay, what comes next? What should follow? What is the proportion? What is the harmony? What is the balance? And it's very interesting. I mean, it's fascinating. It's hard work, right? Like any act of creativity from scratch is hard work. I find it difficult to do things from scratch, compose a piece of music from scratch. I find it much more easy in some ways to open up a piece of music and interpret, or open up a pattern already written and interpret. But like to come up with something from scratch is a real area of discomfort for me, but it's always good to go there and to push oneself, I do think. So in any case, that was play. And then I kind of rethought everything and I said, no, I want to go into the bulkier. And so I got those two colors again in the merino number 5. So without giving too much away, because there isn't much to give away yet, I just want to show you what I have so far. And I'm not going to tell you much more because I want to keep it a surprise, but this is what we have so far. And so as you can see, it is a retranslation of that same kind of slip stitch pattern, right? So this is it in probably like a DK weight cotton. And this is it in a bulky. And I love this particular type of pattern. I just think it's a timeless, classic pattern. So there you go. So this is going to have to come together in 2 weeks. There we go. Okay, nothing like little pressure, under pressure. Yes. Okay, on to the next. I'm still working on my gumdrop sweater, which I want to finish in the next few days because I do want to wear it with a new pair of pink boots that I got, believe it or not. Yes, it's hot. Why am I buying pink boots? I don't even know, but yeah, I don't know. There you go. So that is on my needles. Okay, next thing, Stashquisitions. Okay, so you just saw the loopy mango that I got, and I just love those color pairings. And I love, you know, just playing with all the colors that loopy mango does have. So I'll be doing that at the store on the 29th. And if you want to play with colors with me, come and join. Come and join. Okay. So speaking of yarn stores and explorations, I shared this on the Mondays with Margaret segment this past week, but I'm going to say it again, that last Saturday, the Saturday before Easter, Maia and I went to explore Red Bank, New Jersey, which is a lovely town. You might know Chelsea Yarns. She's from Red Bank, aka her husband, Red Bank Mike. That's where it comes from. So we were in Red Bank and just having a nice time. We went for lunch, and then we spotted a yarn store called Mother Knitter. I have heard of Mother Knitter, and finally we had a chance to go in and browse and explore. And so we stumbled upon, just like, I wasn't aware that this is just the main distributor for this yarn, which is called Sandnes Garn. I do believe it's definitely a Scandinavian European yarn, and they have so many colors, so many different bases. If you guys have seen Petite Knit, for instance, or any of the European knitters, they use this brand a lot. And so we fell in love with a sweater, and it's a Sandnes Garn pattern, and I forgot the name of it, but I'll show it right here. And so Maia got this beautiful iridescent purple colorway for hers. We decided to make matching sweaters, and this is mine. And again, my powder blue moment does not seem to be stopping. In fact, I think it's getting more and more intense. They seem to be going by like numbers, and so I'm gonna try to read the number. I think it's 6315, and this is in the Borstedt alpaca. And Maia she started hers. I have not, because I've said other project, but Maia has been loving hers. And Maia is rather sensitive. My daughter Maia is rather sensitive to wool and also to mohair, but this, she says she has been loving, and I can't wait to cast this on. This will be my Paris airplane travel project for sure. Easy to carry, and I just can't wait to start it. And yes, I am leaving for Paris soon, and I am super, super excited, and want to thank you guys for, I mean, just your recommendations. I have like written them down. I have a notebook. I have started to plan out places that we definitely want to visit and hit, and your suggestions have been so appreciated. I'm so, so grateful. So thank you so much. All right, so let's now go into good things. Oh my goodness, I want to start with a huge, beautiful thank you, like, to one of the viewers. I'm always amazed by this community, but Carrie from California, a viewer. She's so lovely, and I just love hearing about, you know, your knits and your different, like, sharing what you've knit in the past and connections to different things. And Carrie wrote me just the sweetest note, and my goodness, you know what, this just opened my heart so much. Sharing your musical gifts, it always puts a smile on my face and peace in my heart, and that means everything to me. Carrie, thank you so much. Carrie sent me these beautiful, get this, stitch markers, Look at this treasure trove of gorgeous stitch markers. I mean, I can't even believe how yummy and opulent. This is like extravagant gifting. I'm so grateful to you. Oh my gosh, look at this one. It's got a little leaf on it and this beautiful purple. This is actually the purple that Maia is using for her sweater, actually. That's amazing. Oh, Carrie, thank you, thank you, thank you. So grateful. I am always in need of stitch markers. I don't know what happened to mine. I seem to lose them. I don't know what happens. So that is such a good thing. And I just want to share one last thing. A good book I've been reading, and it's led me down another rabbit hole. I got this book a year ago, almost to the day. I was in Florida with Maia. That's how she picked up knitting again. And if you want to hear that story again, I think it's episode 1. But on that trip, we went to a bookstore, one of my favorite bookstores. It's on Sanibel Island, called Jean's Books. If you guys ever get out there, I know they're still recovering from that massive hurricane last September, but they have such a lovely selection. And then this outdoor sitting area is just the cutest. But I got this book called The Grand Design by Joy Calloway. And it's a novel about Dorothy Draper, the interior designer. And I mean, it's beautifully written. And then, of course, I mean, I wasn't aware of the massive work and decorating project she did on the hotel named the Greenbrier. So this is a picture of the Greenbrier Hotel. And so Dorothy had this vision about color. She called it modern Baroque, where she took over the top elements and like Baroque, and then she used punchy, bold colors. Like, what a thinker. I mean, and that's 100 years ago. And so mixing like bold reds and greens and wallpapers and florals and like gold, big gilded mirrors and things. Anyway, it got me all thinking about the Greenbrier, and I may or may not have already started like obsessively Googling about the Greenbrier. I may or may not have been obsessively already like looking into the Sulphur Spring spa that they have there, learning that they have a now declassified bunker that was supposed to be a secret place for Washington government to hide out in case of a nuclear attack. I also may or may not have learned that that was a place that was also used as a hospital, and just the amazing history of the Greenbrier Hotel. So it's in West Virginia. I would love to visit it. That's all I could say. I would love to see this kind of decor. I would love to be able to experience it. And my question to you viewers is, have you guys ever been to the Greenbrier? This is like seriously now just taking over my thoughts. Like, what is the Greenbrier like? I have been criticized by one of the viewers who left a comment on one of my earlier podcasts about living in La La Land. And I unabashedly say, yes, I do live in my own mental La La Land. And I have since day one. People often call me crazy. I do kind of like live in my own world, in mental world. It's mental fruit, as my friend Grace would always say. You have mental fruit. I do. I live in La La Land, and so, and it's not because I don't have problems, or it's not because I don't have situations that, are difficult like we all do. But I live in my own mental world all the time. And so this is an extension of that La La Land. And for those of you guys that don't mind this form of escapism, I embrace you. You are my people. I love you. If this La La Land is a little bit too not reality, then, you know, it's not the podcast for you. That's just the way. I do think that in times of difficulty, as we all are experiencing right now in the world, there is a chance, like there is this need to also take comfort and solace and cocoon in a place of, you know, where we can talk about things that are perhaps frivolous, but yet bring us joy. So yeah, the Greenbrier it is. Wallpaper, pink boots, glam, knitting 60s style garments, La La Land. So on that note, I send you peace, love, joy, and happiness. The next episode, don't miss it. I have my sister Tannei on, and she is going to bring her artistry to the table, and I'm so excited to share that with you because she's going to talk about makeup, especially for maturing women, and what we need to know, and it'll be fun. So that'll be the next episode, so stay tuned. Subscribe, like, do all those things if you feel like, and I'll catch you very soon. Bye.